presentations early on, but we'll start the formal meeting here in just a second. So. I'll call to order the council meeting of the City of Woodland Park for May the 16th, 2013. We'll begin with a roll call, and for that I'll turn to our city clerk, Cindy Morris.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor Turley.
Present.
Gary Brevetto. Bob Carlson.
Here.
Terry Harrison.
Here.
Carol Harvey. Here. John Schaefer.
Here.
Eric Smith.
Here.
Thank you.
And if you all would join me and please rise as we state the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, welcome everyone. This is great. So my goal tonight was to see if we could lower the average age of the people in this room. And I think we succeeded tonight. This is great having this group of youth from our community, and we'll get to some recognition then. We have several presentations for tonight. And first thing I want to recognize is the Elevate Your Education Art Contest. A couple of years ago, Woodland Park made some changes in its logo, and we picked up a theme of Elevate, and that's something that can really tie in with so many things. And it can be with elevate your spirit, elevate your good times, elevate your education. The local school board and folks picked up on that elevate your education and had an art contest, and we have Dr. Bowman, who's our superintendent of schools. Jed, would you like to say a couple of words about your contest? We had a meeting yesterday morning over at the district office, and this artwork is all up in there, and I got to say, it's amazing the work that's been done for our students. But Dr. Bowman, I thought maybe you'd like to say a couple of words about the contest.
Thank you, Mayor Turley, but first I'm going to never pass up a microphone. I got to say thanks to the parents and specifically the students of the amazing talent that we've seen here in the science fair projects that we had an opportunity to look at. So parents and students, I say on behalf of the district, thank you for doing such tremendous work and for being here, and look at how nice they all look. And I will try to be brief. The art contest, what we did is we presented last year in a coordinated effort with the Woodland Park Art Alliance, the Woodland Park Education Foundation, and the school district. We created monetary awards for students in 3 categories: high school, middle school, and elementary school, where a first place winner would receive $100, a second place $75, and a third place $50 for each of those categories. And the theme of the contest was create a poster with Elevate Your Education as the theme with no other instructions, and or it didn't have to be a poster. It could have been a 3-dimensional representation that we could take a picture of. We had over 100 entrants. The hardest thing was trying to select which ones would actually win, because anybody who completed it was a winner in my eyes. So what we've done with that is, while we did award winners, we decided to take the artwork, and what we've done is we've made it into, we blew it up a little bit, and we framed it. And in our boardroom, in the Board of Education, our admin building, we have refreshed our entire room with the student artwork. It's absolutely a beautiful thing. If you get a chance to come in and see it, it's wonderful. The other thing we did was we wanted to actually put it out in the community a little bit more than that. So we created the light pole banners. And if you drive up Panther Way, which used to be called Baldwin Drive, you'll see we have 10 light posts that have the student artwork displayed there. The idea is we're going to reconstitute this contest about every 2 to 3 years to refresh the student artwork and to have another opportunity for more students to participate. As a council member, the mayor, the city manager, we're sitting here looking at this artwork. The great idea came that this would be also a nice place to display some student artwork. And so what you'll see up here is we have one of our pieces of art here, and the other piece is in the foyer out there. And that's going to rotate on a monthly basis. We have enough artwork to last you at least 2 years on a monthly basis. I can't thank the city enough for doing that, for helping promote our arts. And I want to thank the city for inviting us to the Chambers tonight, for the City Council, and for our community to see just a sampling of some of the amazing work that our students do. So I know that was long-winded. We look forward to continuing things like this. And the thing I liked the most was, while I would have liked to have had some, like use Woodland Park colors or use WPSD or do something, I didn't on purpose. I kept it creative and innovative. And so when you see the artwork, it's absolutely amazing, given there was virtually no parameter other than elevate your education. So on behalf of the district, to the parents, if some of you are here tonight that have artwork, I say thank you. And on behalf of the district to the city, thank you for helping us.
I just think that's great, and I'm really glad that we're doing that. I know you've worked with David, our city manager, on that. I think having that over here, both in our council chambers and really out front, so that our citizens that come into City Hall for a large number of reasons, whether it's to pay bills or whatever, can see some of that. And because we really do, I believe, I've been here a long time, it is a special community, and I think that's one of the things that we're recognizing tonight. A special community with some very special people, and some of those special people have come to visit us tonight. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Well, about, I don't remember the date. As you get older, you get where you kind of forget some of these things. But a month or so ago, I went to Columbine Elementary, and my job there for a couple of hours was to serve as one of the judges for the science fair. And I was amazed when I went in. I was amazed at the number of judges, citizens from within our community. And then I was really amazed when I went into the, I guess you call it, is it your gym or your gymnasium, and saw all the projects were there and all the smiling faces. Kids a little nervous, of course, as you know, they're going to be talking about their projects to judges and everything, but it was truly a couple of special hours that I was there. And in fact, one of the teachers that's here tonight, Miss Jackson, where are you? Yeah, her son was the judge that worked with me, and he's in 8th grade. So that's special how they pair up the judges, and he was experienced at doing this. I wasn't. So I was the rookie, and he was the experienced guy. And, you know, it is truly amazing. So after I finished up with that, I thought, you know, it'd be kind of nice to, you know, we're always looking for ways to recognize, you know, some of the great things that some of the kids in our community are doing. And I thought it would be really nice to have them come to a city council meeting, put up some of their projects and you know, the winners, and let some of the citizens and the city council members see it. And you know what? Sometimes the mayor has a good idea. And this was definitely one of them, because it's so great to have you here. And so we want to recognize the winners. And Cindy, we have some certificates to present, or no?
No, we don't.
We're doing mayor pins. So can I have the kids come up front?
Yes, you can.
I would like all the winners, the kids that we're doing, to come right up here, right, and face out that way. So you guys kind of get close together. And I want to give you a mayor's pin, because I think you guys have earned it. I mean, these projects are absolutely great, and it is, I'm very proud of you, and I know everyone else is too. So we'd like to have you to have one of the city pins presented by the mayor. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
Thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome. Good morning. The mayor has big pockets, not money, by the way. You're welcome. Good job. Let's give. It's really great having you guys here, so thanks. Good luck. I know school's ending next week. I know you're really sad about that. No? Oh, I thought you wanted school to go all summer. No? Okay. Well, then enjoy your last week of school next week, and hopefully you'll have a good summer. And I'm sure we'll be seeing you around town and in various things at the schools next year. Thank you very much for coming here tonight. And thank the parents. I want to say one more. Thank the parents. I mean, good parenting is so important. And I got to tell you, we have some great elementary schools, both Gateway Elementary and in the Woodland Park itself and Columbine. And the things that are going on in our elementary schools, I think are quite amazing. And this is the result. So thank you all.
Good job, guys.
And Suzanne, what was our thinking tonight on?
We wanted to let the children know, Mayor Turley, that they'll be able to watch this on YouTube.
Oh, okay,
They want to show some of them want to show their grandparents.
cool. So we do record the ceremony tonight, like all our city council meetings are broadcast live, and they're also recorded, and then that's posted up on YouTube. I think if they just Google City of Woodland Park City Council,
Or go to the city website.
or go to the city website, that works too, and the video will be there. Now, Suzanne, what was your thinking relative to them and their projects, and I think most of the city council meeting, they won't want to stay here for it. Shall we do the rest of the presentations and then allow them to, okay? Anytime. So if the parents and the kids, if you want to depart anytime, get your projects, whatever you want to do. You can stay, you can leave. It's totally up to you. Okay? And we're going to proceed. The next presentation that we have tonight is for the Bear Aware Drawing Contest by Gateway Elementary School students. And as most of you know, the bears are awake. They've come out of hibernation. People are starting to see them around town. And there's been several things going on for education in the community relative to bears. Normally bears are not the problem in our community. The problems are the human beings and our habits that we do things that put bears at risk. Putting garbage out the night before, putting out bird feeders and things. So anyway, we had the contest, and to speak to that tonight, on our staff, Lisa Parnell has been a key part of this, and Lisa's going to give us a little update.
Thank you, Mayor Turley. Council, good evening. I have a brief presentation just to give you a feel for what the contest was about. Our contest was at Gateway Elementary. And first off, I'd like to thank Ms. Lehman, the school art teacher, who is here tonight, as well as Principal Waddell, for allowing us to come into Gateway and do this Bear Awareness Contest. It's been great, and Ms. Lehman's been instrumental in passing out the material and making this happen. How this worked is we had grades kindergarten through 5th grade, and we handed out over 300 Bear Aware tips and coloring books. And these were given to the students so they could get a feel for how you would live with bears and how you would handle bears. And inside we had tips and drawing contest rules. So we handed out over 300 of those to students in Gateway in those grades, and they were assigned to demonstrate one of those bearware tips in their drawings, and to do some standard format as far as keeping it on an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper and putting their name and grade on it. And before we get started, I want to just let everyone know that in addition to the awards and meeting with the mayor and having a mayor's pen, they're also going to be posted on www.keepwoodlandparkbeautiful.org. So if you want to go out there and see the winning artwork, I would encourage you to do that. And also, most of the submissions are going to be also posted in the gallery at Rampart, the lower level of Rampart Library. So without further ado, Mayor, if you would join me down here with your pens, we'll call them up one at a time.
Outstanding.
Thank you. Okay, the first one is, well, I'm doing it in twos, but the first one is Vivian Gillespie. And Vivian has her sad bear picture, in which she's very sad because the trash is locked. So the bear is sad. Okay.
And here's a mayor's pen. See, we're giving you know what I'm going to do first? I'm going to hold that for a second. I want to shake your hand. Very good. And this is your certificate. I think somebody's taking a picture. Let's hold it here so. Very good.
Good job, Vivian.
Let's keep all the winners. Let's keep them all up here.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and stand up there with the mayor? honey?
Yeah, why don't you just stay right over here and then we'll have others come up too.
Okay, and first grade winner is Jenna Matthews. And Jenna had a very good interpretation of having the bird feeder way up high where the bear can't get to it. And so she demonstrated a great tip. Thank you. Good job, Jenna. Second grade is Aiden Gray. And Aiden Gray had several tips. He had a locked grill. He had locked up animals. He had music on in the house when he left the house. So he did several tips.
Whoa. Good job.
Good job, Aiden. The next one is third grader Jalen Nielsen. And Jalen Nielsen went with the I have to take the trash in concept. In other words, after they come pick up your trash, bring in the trash can so that they won't smell the food in the trash can. Bring it into your garage and put it inside.
Absolutely.
So,
Very good.
good job, Jalen. Okay, and then for fourth grade, we had Cameron Hooker. And Cameron went with a night setting.
Looking good.
Cameron went with a night setting, and you can see in his picture the trash is dumped over because it got left out at night.
I'm underdressed tonight. Great job, bud.
Good job, Cameron. And last but not least is fifth grader's interpretation, Avery Gray. And this one is great because I have to point this out because I think it's wonderful. It's nighttime and the trash is left out, the bear is sneaking on, and you can't really see it very well, but there's a musical note here. So you can just hear this guy walking off going, so it's really neat.
Very good. So was it fun doing this? Yeah, cool. Let's give them all a really big round of applause. We're very proud of you guys, and we're glad you're in our community. Thank you very much.
And Mayor, if I can,
You may.
just one little plug for Keep Woodland Park Beautiful's cleanup, which is coming up on the 8th of June. And it's going to be starting in Memorial Park. You can register at the gazebo. It starts at 9 in the morning if you'd like to come help your community clean up. And at noon, there's a free barbecue. So I would encourage the public to take part in that cause, very worthy cause. And that's it.
Very good.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Thanks, Lisa. Thanks for doing this.
Thank
Thanks
you.
to all of you. Thank you, parents, very much also. So we'll move on to the next item. We have a presentation by Scott Campbell. He is the Executive Director of Palmer Land Trust. I got an update from some folks not too long ago on the things that the Land Trust folks do. And I thought, well, there's some things here that people ought to know about how some of these beautiful pieces of land kind of stay beautiful and the work that it takes to make that happen. So welcome, Scott.
Great. Thank you very much. And thank you for the invitation. I'm going to give a brief overview of our history and our work and try and focus primarily on our work in Teller County, and so that we have some time to get into questions and take, if there are questions, and take the discussion where you'd like to take it. But our work has been going on in the Pikes Peak region for some time. This is our 36th year. Palmer Land Trust was formed back in 1977 by a group of individuals that was really committed to the idea of protecting open lands that were important to all of us. Our work began by protecting lands for public recreation. We would actually go out and raise money to try and acquire lands. A lot of those efforts started out acquiring lands next to Garden of the Gods, and of course our name, the Palmer Foundation Land Trust, was taken from General Palmer's mission of establishing a network of parks and trails and open spaces that could serve residents and improve the quality of life. Well, our work today has evolved considerably since that time. We work in a 10-county region. We've grown into one of the largest local land trusts in the country based upon our conservation easement holdings. Our methods of conserving land have really changed during that time as well. We not only purchase land, but we use deed restrictions and conservation easements to protect a variety of different types of properties that have important conservation values. And what I'm going to share with you tonight is a little bit of an overview of what our work is looking like today, and especially here what it's looking like in Teller County and around Woodland Park. So how do I advance with the mouse or the keyboard? Either one. Either one. Okay, great. So this is the Arkansas River watershed, and our work takes place, as I had mentioned, in a pretty large 10-county area. This is the state of Colorado here. Watershed is sort of in the southeastern quadrant of the state, and our work is taking place in this 10-county region from essentially the Pikes Peak region, El Paso, Teller, Park County, down to New Mexico border. We do work both in the mountain communities and in the shortgrass prairie. The majority of our work focuses on two initiatives. Our Protect the Peak Conservation Initiative, which is designed to build a contiguous ring of public and private protected lands that circumnavigate America's mountain. And then our Lower Arkansas Valley Initiative, which is centered on agricultural land protection, habitat protection, and a lot of water protection efforts. We'll focus tonight's presentation on what we're doing up here, primarily in the Pikes Peak region. I had mentioned that we had grown considerably since our start. That was in large part facilitated by the state having two pretty strong conservation finance incentives to do this type of work. The first was the establishment of Great Outdoors Colorado, where a good portion of our lottery proceeds go. And then the second was the state adopted a conservation easement tax credit in 2000. So you can see that advanced a lot of work, and a lot of our growth in here is actually occurred in the lower Arkansas Valley primarily, but quite a bit in Teller County as well. You know, I should mention a little bit about our work too before we go and look at the map in terms of where we're working. As an organization, we are really driven by sort of community values and priorities in terms of what we conserve, and we are also not an advocacy organization. So we're not an organization that takes a stand on land use issues. We're really an organization that works with both municipal, county governments, and private individuals to conserve places that are important to the communities in which they live and work. So,
excuse me, I'm going to ask you to maybe kind of stay closer
to the microphone.
mic.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
For us here, but also for make sure that we're picking it up for going after the folks that are watching us live.
Right. So this is a map of the close-up of the Protect the Peak Conservation Area that I'd highlighted in the watershed map. Let me orient you on the map, and then I'll highlight what you're looking at. So City of Colorado Springs is here. I-25 is here on the east side. Highway 24 going up to Woodland Park here, continuing west to Divide. We have 67 coming down south. 24 continuing west to Florissant, where the Gold Belt Tour National Scenic Byway goes through the fossil beds, down High Park Road, Shelf Road, and Phantom Canyon. Green lands are Forest Service lands. This color is BLM land. And our work is taking place on the lands that are highlighted in both red, and then where we have current projects highlighted in orange, and then other conservation efforts that have been driven by either other land trusts, municipal or county partners are highlighted in this maroon color here. So the red that highlights our conservation work indicates a property that we have some type of deeded interest in. It may be that we own the property outright, as is the case with a couple of properties on the Colorado Springs Front Range, or it may be that we hold a conservation easement on the property, as is this case with the large block of lands here on the south side of the highway between Woodland Park and Divide. So this is representative of our efforts over the last 36 years, and you can see that as you had mentioned in your introduction, there is a very close and large protected area that is appreciated, I think, by residents and visitors alike who pass by on the Highway 24 corridor here right outside the city. And this, I might just take a minute to talk about these efforts right here, because our first conservation project in Teller County actually occurred up in this area when Al Hagedorn Sr. Worked with Stu Dodge at the Palmer Land Trust to place a conservation easement on the Broken Wagon Ranch after conferring with his neighbors and saying, hey, we'd like to do this. We think it's a good thing for us and for our community, but we're only going to do it if you all also think that. And the neighbors got on board and they said, yeah, we do think it's a good idea. So that was back in 1992 when the Broken Wagon was protected. And of course there are a lot of other properties that we know and love up here, including the Catamount Ranch Resource and Protection Area. One of the exciting things to us that just happened in this last year in 2012, 20 years after Al Hagedorn had protected that first ranch, was that the last large ranch, the Marcus Ranch, thanks to the efforts of Daryl and Carol Marcus and their family, was protected over a 4-year period, and that ranch was placed under conservation easement in, like I had mentioned, in 2012. So we have this beautiful 6,500 acre protected corridor that will always be here for people to enjoy the views on the north slopes of Pikes Peak, to conduct historic agricultural operations, and to protect the watershed as well. Some of the other things that are happening up here right now are fire mitigation efforts that CUSP, the Coalition for the Upper South Platte, the Nature Conservancy, and Palmer Land Trust have been involved in. One of the other things that I think is neat about this corridor here is it connects to another protected block of lands that were also originally protected through private conservation efforts when the Nature Conservancy purchased the 12,000-acre Mueller Ranch, what's today, as you know, Mueller State Park and Dome Rock State Wildlife Area. And then our land protection efforts continue along the Gold Belt Tour National Scenic Byway, where over the last probably in a period of 5 years, we've extended the amount of protected lands in a landscape that's identified both in the 4-mile action plan and in the county master plan as an area that's a priority for protection for the community. So we've been helping to protect some of the scenic lands along the National Scenic Byway and some of the historic agricultural lands and some of the riparian and stream corridors and water rights in that area. And that also is one of our real success stories in Teller County. The amount of protected lands along the byway has increased from 900 acres 5 years ago when we launched the National Scenic Byway Conservation effort in partnership with the Gold Belt Tour to about 9,000 protected acres where it stands today. So all told, we have a protected corridor almost contiguous. The Mount Pisgah or Wrights Reservoir creates one area of discontinuity, but this wonderful protected corridor stretching around the north and west slopes of Pikes Peak, extending about 24, 25 miles and encompassing about 24,000 acres as well. I'll highlight some of the pictures, and if you could please actually not replicate these. Some of these are coming from John Fielder, who included a lot of these photos in his most recent book. We have quite a few Teller County photos in the most recent John Fielder book. And as you can see, I have not credited him here on the photo, so I'd rather not spread around, but I'm giving him credit here publicly. This is, actually this is the Marcus Ranch, so one of the more recent protection efforts here. Also in that corridor between Woodland Park and Divide, the Clark Ranch, 4 Mile Creek coming out of Dome Rock, a view from the top of Dome Rock, and our protected lands, the state lands end here. And so our protection efforts have essentially preserved this valley where 4 Mile Creek and Hay Creek run. Jim Larson Jr. and Carol Larson, who really helped accelerate efforts at the byway and stream confluences there on their small property. The Gaffney Ranch, again, another John Fielder photo here. And then as the byway continues down the Shelf Road, this is some high country on the Chapman Ranch that's protected. Very large ranch. It's still a current project of ours. The ranch headquarters, which we're working on currently right now, is down here, and then we have the Garden Park Shelf Road climbing area just a little bit further to the south. So that gives an example of some of the work here in Teller County. If we come back around to the Front Range, you can see another view. This is taken during the Waldo Canyon fire by John Wark. You can see some of our protected areas here along the Front Range, Red Rock Canyon, some of the other view sheds along Manitou Springs. And we also, if we go back to this, there's an interesting story when it comes to the fire. We have a protected open space right here, and you may have heard in the local or national news as Waldo was going on the praise that the Cedar Heights community had received for its fire mitigation efforts. Essentially, they were credited not only with those efforts were credited not only with helping prevent the fires spread into that community and protecting the 182, 83 homes that are there, but also preventing the spread of that fire into the city of Manitou Springs. What a lot of people don't know is that those mitigation efforts took place on a protected open space where we hold the deed of conservation easement, the 300-acre Solitude Park open space. And it's another good example of how open space does more than just protect habitat, preserve agricultural land, preserve our scenic views, which it does. This is also protecting a scenic view that's enjoyed by about 2 million visitors a year who are looking up towards the peak from Garden of the Gods. But obviously, this is also an open space protection effort that has created a buffer between our national forest and a high-density residential area, and it's essentially empowered the community to take some control over their own safety and security by mitigating for catastrophic fire on that property. And we know that in the Mountain Shadows community, there was no significant mitigation buffer that ever was put in place between the residential communities and the public lands. So I think our efforts have some very direct economic impacts in terms of lives and dollars that it can impact, especially during the conditions that we're facing right now. So in that property, just on that photo that we were looking at, it's hard for me to see it from here, but I think that's Garden of the Gods there, so we're looking up at this ridge line right there, where a lot of those mitigation efforts took place in consultation with the Palmer Land Trust and with the Colorado Springs Wildfire Mitigation Unit. We also do quite a bit of planning. This was a conservation plan that we worked on with a variety of city council members, county commissioners, local stakeholders in the lower Arkansas Valley, brought some conservation funding in to help to develop this community-focused plan. We've done similar efforts in partnership with the Byway here. And that's it. That ends the presentation. One thing I did not do tonight was talk a lot about the mechanics of what we do, and I'm happy to do that if you would like, but I only wanted to go there if it was of interest to you, Mayor, and the council
Appreciate
members.
that, Scott.
Yeah.
You did exactly what I want to do. I mean, I think, people that might want to get, more insight into the mechanics and everything might want to follow up with you. This is just so worthwhile. I mean, so many times when you every day, if you go out towards the Divide, you see that beautiful space, and I just don't think the majority of people realize how fragile that is, or could have been, to development and all those kinds of things, and that having that beauty stay roughly the way it is in much of a natural state is not something that just happens. It really happens because of the work of your trust and others that work these type of projects. And I just think it's so important. I mean, we're here because of the beauty of the Pikes Peak region, and the fact that some of that will be maintained is just so important for us and our children and our community.
Thank you.
Any questions from council? Any comments for Scott?
No, Scott, I do have some questions about the mechanics of how the trust works, but I'll email those to you if you don't mind. Thank you very much for the presentation and the beautiful photographs.
Sure, thank you.
Any other questions, comments from council? I just think this will, that the folks that are watching on TV and will see this, a lot of people go and watch afterwards. I think it'll be very worthwhile to them, and I really appreciate you coming tonight.
Well, thanks for having us. We've, if I could just close by saying one thing, we've had a great partnership with a variety of stakeholders in Teller County, and it's enabled us. In this county, we've actually raised more money to do this kind of work, bringing outside resources into the community than we've raised in any of the other counties that we've worked in. So it's a testament to the support that we've had here to do this work, and again, I think it's successful because it's it's largely voluntary, private sector driven, and we can help facilitate some community supported outcomes. So.
Well, this is the one of the ways that the word gets out is with you going around and talking to various groups and including us, and I thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
Okay. And now we're going to move on to a couple of appointments. One to the Keep Woodland Park Beautiful Committee, and for that I'm going to turn to Cindy Morris, our city clerk.
Thank you, Mayor Turley. There are currently some vacancies on the city's Keep Woodland Park Beautiful Committee, and we have been advertising for these positions through the city's website, Facebook page, cable channel 10. etc. We have 3 applications for this committee, and the applicants are here this evening. You've received a copy of their applications in your packets, and I would like to introduce them. They are Renee Bunting, sitting in the back, and we get kind of a twofer here. We have Dave and Michelle Perkins sitting right here. Husband and wife who are interested in serving on this particular committee. So they are prepared to answer any questions you may have, and I am prepared to administer the oath of office.
Okay, and we can appoint all 3 of them?
Yes, you can.
That's very good. Would any of you or all of you like to come up and make any comments or statements? You're more than welcome. You mean Renee's not coming? I just, before we go on, I'd just like to say that, you know, I'm really glad to see additional members to this committee. It's such a, you know, it's these kinds of committees and citizens groups that come together and make Woodland Park a special place, and keeping it looking good is an important part. I mean, and we want things that go with some of the kinds of pictures that we just saw in this beautiful mountain environment. Does council have any questions or comments for any of the applicants?
No, but after that last statement, can I count on you to show up on June 8th to help me cook?
You know, if I could, I would. That's actually the last day of where I'm a counselor at Boys State, and that runs that whole week. And so, not only am I not going to cook for you, I'm going to miss that council meeting that week also. And but that's a busy week for me.
So you're going to talk Eric into showing up with his kids and picking up trash and helping me cook?
I think you're working on it right now. If I was here, I would.
I think I'll be in town.
So,
You were gone.
any
I was
questions,
gone last year.
comments about the applicants or their applications?
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the 3 applicants.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second that we accept all 3. Any further discussion by council? We will take a vote.
Thank you. Carlson? Harrison?
Yes.
Harvey?
Yes.
Schaefer?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Turley?
And a big yes.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously.
Welcome. And you're going to administer the oath?
Would come to the podium.
And Mayor, I can assure you that Lisa and I and the rest of the committee, any of our council people that want to show up, we'll feed you.
I've been trained last year by Lisa, so.
You said it's June 8th,
It's June 8th.
Saturday, June 8th.
At,
Starts at 9 in the
at
morning.
9.
9 till,
Goes to around 1 or 2 at noon, we have a free barbecue. So we feed you. And music. And music.
do I get to help cook?
Mhm.
Perfect.
Okay, Cindy's going to administer oath.
Raise your right hand. I. State your name. Renee Bunting. Do solemnly swear. That I will support the Constitution of the United States. And of the state of Colorado. The charter and ordinances. Of the city of Woodland Park. And that I will faithfully perform. The duties of the office of member. Of Keep Woodland Park Beautiful Committee. Upon which I'm about to enter. Congratulations. Congratulations. And then I think there are some parting gifts for you. Dave? Parting gifts.
Oh, I know what those are.
There.
Yeah. And, our kids get. And so, you get some, you're going to be served.
Oh, I need that.
Well, you don't, but they will eventually.
Can I bank it just in case?
And I've got Michelle's up here.
That's a good idea, yeah.
Thank you all very much. This,
Nobody makes a difference in college. To get to school. Everybody does.
You said it starts at 9.
Thank you all very much. Greatly appreciate it. And now we'll move on to appointment to the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. And for that, I'm going to turn to Cindy once again.
Thank you. At your last meeting, there were terms that were expired on the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. 2 of the terms were filled. The 3rd term resulted in a tie vote between incumbent applicant Donna Engel and a new applicant Stacy Licklider. Both were asked to be present this evening when more council members would be present. And Donna Engel is with us this evening. Stacy Licklider called late this afternoon with the family emergency. So, Donna is here if you would like to ask her any questions. I believe Donna has been, I think her application talks about having been with, excuse me, the committee since its inception. But she is here and is absolutely willing to answer any questions you may have.
And Donna, do you want to come up and say anything? Just for the record, state your name and address, please.
My name is Donna Engel, and I live at 805 North Fullview. And I'm one of probably the longest members here. I grew up in Woodland Park, moved here in '67. The one reason that I wanted to stay on the board is we're finally working on Memorial Park. And Memorial Park is a park that is dear to my heart. We have our reunions there. We had the 4th of July there. It's a community park that has a lot of potential, and we would really like to redo it. So that's the main reason.
Okay. Thank you, Donna. Any questions from council for Donna? Yes, Bob.
You know, one of the differences between the 2 applications was that you were emphasizing parks and Memorial Park, and your competitor was emphasizing recreational facilities, like skateboard parks and things like that people can use to do things. Do you see that as being a difference, or are you committed to both?
I'm committed to both. Anything that would make Woodland Park better. The more activities we have, the better off we are.
Right. Anyone else? And I'll just say, you know, I served on the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board for a couple of years as council member before I was elected mayor, and went on to a couple of different committees and worked with Donna during that time, and appreciate what she has done for so long for our community. So, any other questions, comments? Hearing none, then I guess we'll do a vote, Cindy. And we're going to do the written again?
If that is your pleasure, we are ready to do that.
Yeah, if you've got that, let's just do that.
We do.
It's written, it's not private, it's written, and then that way nobody's biased by what somebody else votes, and then they're made public.
I need to borrow your pen when you're done.
Oh.
Thank you.
And Cindy, you must have really arranged this for us to have a even number again tonight, too.
You know?
We ain't gonna die. I'm going home.
The vote is unanimous for Engel.
Thanks, Tom.
All right.
Very good. Appreciate all that you have done and will do, and welcome to stay on the board.
Donna,
Thanks, Donna.
Can you join me at the podium?
Before you do that, I just want to make one comment. I'm so glad that Stacy applied. All these things are, they're just so important. I said it earlier, and I'm repeating myself, but it is true. Our citizens, these volunteer committees are just crucial for the things that we do.
Very valuable.
Thanks, Donna.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Donna Engel,
I, Donna Engel,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and of the state of Colorado,
and of the state of Colorado,
the charter and ordinances
that the charter and ordinances
of the city of Woodland Park,
of the city of Woodland Park,
and that I will faithfully perform
and that I will faithfully perform
the duties of the office of member
of the duties of the office of member
of the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board,
of the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board,
upon which I'm about to enter.
upon which I'm about to enter.
Congratulations. Need your signature right here. And I don't believe you get any parting gifts because I think you already have them.
I already have it, yes, I do.
Thank you very
and
much.
thank you again.
Congratulations.
Thanks, We'll be looking for all those improvements at Memorial Park. Well, she knows Memorial Park's pretty high on my list of things to do too, so. Next is item 5, additions, deletions, or corrections to agenda, and I believe we do not have any, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And item 6, we'll move on to the consent calendar, and for that, we turn to Cindy once again.
3 items for your consideration this evening. The first one is the approval of the minutes of the May 16th regular meeting. The second one is the approval of the April statement of expenditures. And the final one is to approve the construction contract with Rocky Mountain Materials and Asphalt to resurface the Centennial Trail. What questions may we answer?
I only had one.
All right.
On the resurfacing of Centennial Trail, was there only one bidder, or how did that work?
Multiple bidders. It was similar to the paving contract for Trout Creek. We had bids from Schmidt. We had bids from Rocky Mountain.
Okay, very good.
Rocky Mountain posed a little different process for us. It's going to give us a better, longer-lasting product.
Very good. Any questions, comments from council? Yes, Bob.
So that's award based on best value for money, not lowest price then?
Correct.
Okay.
And when will that resurfacing start?
Well, once we get the contract approved tonight, we'll schedule with the contractor.
And that's, what are the limits?
The limits are from county, basically, to Red Feather this year.
Okay.
So,
Good.
so each year we've been hitting a piece of it. So
Yep.
with your continued support, we'll be keeping our ways working north. So.
Very good. Any other questions, comments on the consent calendar as a whole, or specifically? Hearing none, then we will take a vote.
Thank you. Harrison?
Yes.
Harvey?
Yes.
Schaefer?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Turley?
Yes.
Carlson?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously.
And we have no unfinished business. And we'll move on to item 8, ordinances on initial posting. And for that, we're going to turn to our legal counsel, Aaron Smith.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor and council, before you tonight is Ordinance 1186 on initial posting. This ordinance prohibits marijuana cultivation facilities, marijuana product manufacturing facilities, marijuana testing facilities, and retail marijuana stores, all of which were expressly authorized by Amendment 64. In addition, we have also wrapped into this ordinance a prohibition on what we are terming medical marijuana, or excuse me, marijuana membership clubs. And we also add to this ordinance a prohibition on growing of personal use marijuana outside. The ordinance is necessary at this time because we do need to start the conversation with council on whether you are going to opt out, which is prohibit these retail businesses in the city, or if you are not so inclined by passing this ordinance and then moving on to passing the second reading ordinance. If you're not so inclined to do that, we would need to know so that staff and your city attorney would be able to begin to pursue drafting of local regulations so that those could be in place in time to meet the statutory deadline, which is October 1st of this year. So again, we are presenting this for you at this time really to start the conversation. Amendment 64 expressly authorized city councils to, by ordinance, prohibit these businesses. And so you have authorization under the Constitution to take action on this ordinance as drafted, Or, again, should it be council's direction to have staff move in a different direction, we would just need to know that as soon as we could tonight or the second reading night of this ordinance.
So I would suggest, this is the first reading or the initial posting, and I would suggest that, if we want to get into a lot of the specifics relative to it, that, we might want to wait until there's public here to, for the public hearing. If we want to talk about process, anything like that, that's fine. And so any comments or questions from council? Yes, Bob.
Yeah, I had an interesting education this afternoon from Cindy, because I'd read in the Courier View that the Teller County had prohibited marijuana, growing, all this kind of stuff in the county. And I'd always been led to believe that hierarchy of laws are the federal trumps state, trumps county, trumps city, in that order. But Cindy, so I was thinking that this is redundant because, the Teller County will trump whatever we do anyway. So you want to explain it to us?
Well, we are a home rule municipality within the state of Colorado. We also are within the boundaries of the county of Teller, but we have the ability to establish our own laws and our own regulations within our corporate boundaries. So while we are part of Teller County, part of Colorado, and part of the United States of America, we have the ability to have our own rules and regulations, laws, ordinances, etc. Is that okay?
That was wonderful.
Okay, Eric.
But I guess one question I have is, as it relates to that, from a constitutional perspective, I believe that, we don't have the right to necessarily limit from a constitutionality perspective. As it relates to the federal Constitution, we swear that we're going to abide by the federal Constitution when we take the oath of office. In fact, most people did tonight. So how does that fit in? Because, obviously we have a federal Constitution, we have a state Constitution. State Constitution was amended to allow for marijuana, and now we're saying, well, we don't care what the Constitutions say, we'll just do our own thing.
Well, actually, I would disagree. If by passing this ordinance, you are carrying what the state constitution says, because it does give the localities
an opt-out,
which is what
okay.
you're termed the ability to opt out.
That's right.
By explicit authority to pass an ordinance to prohibit. So you'd be completely in compliance with the state constitution.
Okay.
In that regard.
But if that provision to opt out was not in there, would we?
Be having this discussion.
We wouldn't be having this.
Right. Okay.
We'd have a different discussion.
And I think that's the reason we can't tell people that they can't have the marijuana. We're just restricting certain types of facilities
Right.
and locations for things.
Amendment 64, the day it was passed, made legal the personal use of marijuana by persons over 21 years old. There just was no vehicle for them to purchase it. So, it's the business aspects of Amendment 64, these retail businesses, that are being addressed by this ordinance.
No.
Yeah, go ahead and continue, Eric.
Well, I guess, so our options, and, obviously we have this on initial posting. A lot of times we don't have a lot of discussion, but what I heard you say is you wanted to hear our thoughts in case we wanted to shift an approach,
Yes,
potentially.
And actually, let me restate that. We would have plenty enough time to shift that approach if we heard your thoughts at the public hearing. And I would just reiterate the mayor's urging that, the lion's share of the discussion about the merits of this prohibition should be reserved for the legislative hearing on second reading.
Okay. But along those lines, I guess some of our options, can we talk about those?
Sure.
Obviously we can move forward with the prohibition. Another option would be we could allow it. And in the case if we allowed it, We would be able to regulate it in some fashion, require business licenses. We would be able to tax, right? We'd be able to set business licenses at whatever value or number we wanted from a revenue perspective.
Yeah, what the amendment authorized, Amendment 64, was that the city can regulate the place, manner, and location, place, manner, place and manner of these businesses. And so there are some limitations on what exactly the local municipalities could do. But
Would we
what
be
would
able
ever
to have a
prohibit-
business license that we would charge?
Yes.
Would we be able to set the number at some number that we decided that we wanted to set it at?
That is something that I would look at and be able to advise council at a later time.
Okay.
But in relevant to taxing, we would only be able to assign sales tax to the sale or manufacture of marijuana, not an excise tax. That is what is going to be voted on in the fall.
Correct.
So the benefit of an excise tax will not be realized unless the citizens of the state vote on it.
But the sales tax, we would still collect.
Aaron, the only difference between this ordinance and the emergency ordinance, which is in place now, which prohibits the sale and manufacture of marijuana in the city limits, is the addition of growing marijuana outside of what? Outside of a residence?
Actually, there are a couple differences. One difference is, I think, an improved improved definition of what a marijuana membership club is.
Okay.
So that is a revision in this ordinance that is improvement. But a big difference in this ordinance is that this ordinance is, by approving this ordinance, you are adding to your municipal code additional chapters, or additional chapters and provisions to your zoning title and to your general offenses section of your code. So the other ordinance was not a, was only a moratorium. It was not adding to your code such that you would have the ability then to enforce those provisions.
And how long is our emergency moratorium in place for?
It expires on July 1. I would just point out, many municipalities did not adopt a moratorium. Many did, some didn't. They didn't think that it was necessarily required. And even under Amendment 64 and then the legislation that has been passed just this May by the state legislature, none of these operations will be able to begin operating until January 1 of 2014. So, while we have the moratorium in place, and I think there were reasons to have it in place. For instance, the membership clubs are not addressed specifically in Amendment 64, and so I think that was a good thing to have in our moratorium. The other retail businesses can't begin to operate until January 1st under state law anyway.
Okay. Bob?
So that when we do it next time with a public hearing, I think might have caught a type, or something needs to be corrected here. The last page, section 9.30.040, paragraph 2, it says, both such fine imprisonments as set forth in Cherry Hills Village Municipal.
Oh, yes, thank you.
Cherry Hill.
And
that was a good catch.
That was a good catch. And just so that you know, when we produce these, when I produce these, I look to what a lot of other municipalities are doing. Because for one thing, this is an area that is new. And what I think helps is if we are sort of in partnership with a lot of, we're not the outlier. So, thank you very much for that, and we will correct that.
If I could ask a couple more.
Yes, okay.
So another procedural question. If we did not move forward with this because we decided we wanted to do something different, the moratorium ends, you said July 1st. What would we do between then and the October whatever that we have to put something in place?
Well, I think, again, with respect to the retail businesses that are expressly addressed in Amendment 64, I don't think that there is any risk because those cannot begin to operate until January 1st.
So we're not really under pressure to have to move this along to meet some deadline. I guess that's my question is.
Yeah, I think where the gap exists is really with the marijuana membership clubs. So, and that's, that's the reason we brought it to you at this time, so that we really could have this in place prior to that moratorium expiring.
Because if when that moratorium expires and somebody wanted to have one, there's nothing on the books to prohibit.
Well, I think there are some strong arguments to be made that there are things in state law to prohibit it, but I think it's not as explicit as it is with the cultivation facilities, the manufacturing facilities, the testing facilities, and the retail stores.
In the vote in Teller County, what was the split of the Teller County vote, and what was the split of the, if we have Woodland Park? How was it voted on the amendment?
It was a 2-to-1. Commissioner Steen and...
No, not the commissioners. I'm talking about the vote for the amendment.
Oh,
the popular vote.
Yeah.
Is that something that we could have for the next meeting?
Get it from the county clerk's office?
I mean, to me, it'd be interesting to know how the Teller County voted overall and how the citizens of Woodland Park voted.
My recollection is that Teller County did vote in favor of that, of 64. Would we have the ability to extract from that Woodland Park?
Don't know.
Yeah, because that was, that was a state election that was collected at the county level. Okay, we'll see if we can find out.
Okay. Thank you.
No, that's I was kind of curious about that myself, just in understanding what the voters had said. Yes, Bob?
Yeah, but in regard to that gap that you were talking about, my understanding is that Teller County has banned marijuana sales, or does this. It would, and so therefore it's still prohibited, but we as a home rule city could say it is legal here in our city.
Sure.
And so that's the only place where it would really be needed if we were in fact.
No,
okay.
Just going back to what Cindy said, Teller County's police power authority does not cover the area within the corporate boundaries of Woodland Park. So their prohibition on the retail sales applies in the unincorporated parts of the county.
Okay. So why is the sheriff issuing traffic tickets down 67 North all the time?
Well, and they
That's
can
policing.
enforce state laws within the city.
Thank you.
Any other questions, discussion? I will entertain a motion if anyone would like to make one.
I move to accept it on initial posting.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for approval of ordinance number 1186 on initial posting. Any further discussion from council? Hearing none, then we will take a vote.
Thank you. Public hearing will be on June the 6th. Hardy?
Yes.
Schaefer?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Turley?
Yes.
Carlson?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
And next item 9 is public hearings. We had 3 items that were originally listed. I believe Sally's going to tell us that 2 have been tabled, but one of them we are going to have. And
Yes.
For all of that, I will turn to Sally Riley, our Director of Planning.
Thank you, Mayor Turley, council members. This first public hearing deals with Ordinance 1185. It is the annexation of the Rosemont Road right-of-way, sand wash portion of Fountain Creek, and together with a portion of Laura Lane. I have for you an aerial of the Fountain Creek system up in the northern part. This is Sheridan Avenue. The area that we're speaking about tonight is circled in yellow. And then you can see Fountain Creek flowing further south here past or behind Safeway. The east fork of Fountain Creek is shown to the east of the yellow area. And just for your reference, in your packet, the specific 1.46 acres of land that will be annexed into the city is shown on the exhibit outlined in red. This property was deeded to the city too long ago from Teller County, and there is a simplified annexation process for property that is owned and contiguous to the city. This will expedite and facilitate the improvements that are being planned with the FEMA grant for hazard mitigation in this area. And we would recommend that you vote to approve the ordinance 1185. What questions may I ask?
Any questions for Sally from council? Hearing no questions, I'll entertain a motion.
Public hearing.
Oh,
We need to open
it
public
is
comment.
a public hearing. I forgot. We will now open the floor for any comments from the public. Hearing none, I will close the floor for public comments. Any additional comments from council?
Yeah, so we're going to be annexing the property bounded by the red line. The land to the east or to the right side, that is currently Woodland Park. The land to the west side, to the left, is that county or Woodland Park?
This is all in Teller County.
Okay. So it sounds to me like there's some joint interest in making sure that is upgraded, the Fountain Creek. Is it the county contributing anything towards the cost of that project?
They are not. They donated the land.
Yeah, right.
Yes,
Well,
yes, Bill.
If I could add that the reason the FEMA pre-disaster hazard mitigation grant was granted to us was because of the protection of city-owned utilities in there. The sewer line, the gravity sewer line, the force main sewer line, that's what gave us the cost-benefit ratio that was favorable, that allowed the project to be funded by FEMA to the tune of $1.6 million to us.
Okay.
And that's a real important thing that we get done
Absolutely.
for our utilities.
Yeah. Any other comments from council? Yes,
Yeah,
Terry.
Bill, is that a matching grant?
Yes, it is. 75-25, I think we've got
Yes,
$500,000 that we required. FEMA's providing $1.6 million.
And that was included in the budget.
Yeah, absolutely.
If no other questions from council, then I will entertain a motion at this time.
So moved.
Have a motion? Have a second? I will make the second.
Thank you.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion by council? Hearing none, then we will take a vote.
Thank you. Schaefer?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Turley?
Yes.
Carlson?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Harvey?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously.
And we had two other items that were on the agenda, and those are tabled. Is that correct, Sally?
Yes, sir.
And actually, we would recommend that you table, but council should take the action to vote to table.
Oh, okay.
Yes. If you will take each one to vote to table to a date specific, that would be June 6th, 2013.
Thank you.
And the reason we're tabling is
This is allows us to have more time to research some of the questions and comments that we've been receiving from neighbors and Teller County and others regarding this project.
Okay. Until those processes are done, I think this is a good idea that these are tabled. I will in fact make a motion to table resolution number 757, and that is tabled till the June the 6th, 2013 meeting.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll take a vote.
Thank you. Smith?
Yes.
Turley?
Yes.
Carlson?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Harvey?
Yes.
Schaefer?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously.
And we'll have the same process for resolution number 758.
Move to table to a date certain of 6 June, resolution number 758.
Have a motion, second? Motion and a second. Any discussion? Cindy?
Thank you. Turley?
Yes.
Carlson?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Harvey?
Yes.
Schaefer?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Thank
Very
you.
good.
Motion carries unanimously.
And we have no new business. I had no one signed up to speak. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to make any statements? To share anything with council tonight? Hearing none, then we'll go into reports. I think the mayor may actually be fairly short tonight, but you know how that goes. I will just say, and both the city staff, Cindy and David and myself, we're looking to, I'm on the Pikes Peak Area Council of Governments, and we are looking for a rep for Woodland Park for the citizens. It's actually the Community Advisory Committee, and the Community Advisory Committee responsibilities include review of detailed materials and participation in monthly meetings that are held on the last Wednesday of each month from 3 to 5 p.m. This is a great group that brings in a citizen's perspective into many of the things that are being reviewed within the Pikes Peak Council of Governments, and that includes things such as processes as transportation, military impact, and the environment. So if anybody is interested, feel free to, I would recommend that you contact Cindy, and we're working on a couple of people now that we think might be interested, and that position would actually be filled at the end of this month. And we do have a specific spot for a person from the city of Woodland Park. I believe Gary
Ritchie.
Gary
has
Ritchie
held that
was-
for the last 2 or 3 terms.
And
It's also posted on the city's website and Facebook.
And Teller County is also one of the, has a spot specific on that committee, and I know they're filling that spot right now that's been vacant for a while. So we'd really like to get somebody on. So consider that. It's not a big time commitment. It's a great opportunity to go and hear what a lot of other people are saying, and for citizens to have a voice in such a large body that does a lot of really good collaborative things within the Pikes Peak region. High school graduation is next Friday, the 24th, and that is on Friday night at the Pikes Peak Center. And I will share with you that the mayor was very pleased that he had a student come and give him a, believe me, the mayor has received lots of announcements. But I had one handed to me by a young man that's actually the senior class president. And when I opened it, it had a ticket for the commencement ceremonies. Tickets for the commencement ceremonies are kind of hard to get because they're a limited number, because there's, kids can only get so many for their family. And I will be attending as mayor the graduation ceremony at Pikes Peak Center next Friday night, and I'm honored to do so. So I'll be doing that. A few other announcements. Tuesday, May the 21st is the Chamber's Business After Hours. That's next Tuesday from 5:30 to 7, and that's hosted by Above Treeline Construction in Divide. On Saturday, June the 1st is the citywide garage sale, 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the high school parking lot. Thursday, June the 6th is the Chamber Lunch and Learn, 11:30 to 1, understanding and working with multiple generations in the workforce. And these events that the chamber puts together for people to have opportunities to learn a lot of things, they're really great opportunities for people in our community. And then 2 events that are after June the 6th, but we really look forward to, is Friday, June the 7th, is the Woodland Park Farmers Market is back for its 23rd year, and that's from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. downtown. And then Saturday, June the 8th, as we talked with Terry and others earlier, is the Woodland Park Beautiful Cleanup Day, and that's from 9 a.m. to noon, followed by a free barbecue lunch, and they meet in Memorial Park. Just a couple of quick things, and these are kind of key events coming up. These are kind of premier events. A lot of things going on through the year. And when I get done, David, you might want to say something about this particular thing. But I find this piece of paper and the things on it great. And I was going to mention the farmers market starts June the 7th. We have the old-fashioned 4th of July picnic coming up on July the 4th. We have the Symphony Above the Clouds on July the 5th at the middle school. Hopefully we'll actually be able to do our fireworks and have our great celebration like we have in the past, and we won't be putting up with the consequences of bad times such as fires. The Woodland Music Series, July the 8th, July the 13th, August the 10th, September the 14th at the Cultural Center. Vino Notes Wine Festivals, August the 3rd in Memorial Park. The Mountain Arts Festivals, August the 3rd and 4th at the Youth Patch Cultural Center. And one of my favorites, they're all my favorites, but I love the Cruise Above the Clouds. I love the old cars. And that's September the 14th and 15th. And then September the 21st and 22nd, we have the Oktoberfest Plus. And these are all just great events. And David, you want to say just a quick blurb about what that poster represents?
Sure. That's our signature event poster that the Chamber started 3 or 4 years ago. And in order to earn a place on that, you have to be an activity that has occurred for 5 straight years. So there's a little bit of a criteria to get on the signature events poster. And those are available at the Chamber office. So if any of you work outside of the city and want to take some to your place of work, we'll get you some.
That's great. And that's all from the mayor. Eric?
Nothing tonight.
Bob? Terry? Carol? John?
Nope.
Then Sharon, you have anything?
I have nothing, Your Honor.
And I'll turn to David. Anything from staff?
A couple of quick things. Cindy first, and then me second.
Councilman Terry Harrison's term of office must be vacated on July 15th of this year, when he will have completed the maximum length of service allowed by the city's home rule charter. I have to tell you, Terry, that in my tenure here, this is the first time that a maximum of the 9 successive years has been served. So congratulations.
David wouldn't let me quit though, because you rescheduled that council meeting.
Well,
you're dragging this out as long as
dragging
possible.
out a little bit, but for
Thank you.
the council's edification and also for the viewing audience, the 9 successive years is established in the city's charter. The city's charter also provides that a vacancy shall be filled within 30 days after it occurs, provided that there's not an election within the next 60 days, which there is not. So, because of the rescheduling of the June and July meetings that we have done in order to accommodate the holidays, excuse me, and the Municipal League Conference, Councilmember Harrison's last council meeting will be June 27th. We will thank him for his service at that time. And beginning on June 28th, the city will follow its process and solicit letters of interest from qualified candidates. The qualifications for the candidacy are listed in the city's home rule charter. Citizen for 7 years, 21 years of age, a resident for 1 year immediately preceding the election or appointment, and then no conviction as a felon. Once we receive those, the city council will review them and interview qualified applicants and make the appointment at your one meeting in July on the 18th. what questions may I answer?
Yes, Terry.
Well, I was gonna ask you and Aaron, we can't start advertising that until I step down, right?
That's correct.
Darn it.
But we just did. We're letting the community know.
I was hoping to get in on the interview process and the voting.
Nah, that we can't do.
Bob, yes, Bob.
So that one-year residency is as of 18 July then? They have to have been a resident for...
Correct.
Okay.
Any other questions for Cindy in regards to that?
I'll just comment, hopefully we'll get some good applicants. It's always good to see a number of people apply and see some, first I have several folks that we can make the choice that we think might be the best for the city, but hopefully we'll have several and we'll move forward with that.
Mayor, you referenced the signature events poster. The council will recall that as part of this year's budget, we allocated a bit more money for marketing, and that's the kind of product that we're having. There are several other things that are going on as well. If Brian Fleer were here tonight, he'd share with you a publication, and Ms. Harvey, this is your copy. It's called Colorado Journeys, and it's a great publication, a collector's guide to art, wine, and stunning destinations. And Woodland Park not only is featured on the back cover, but also has an entire section associated with it that's 8 or 10 pages long. So each of you has a copy. We have extras of those, and we'll be happy to share those with anyone in the community. But this is the kind of thing that we hope will help our businesses recover from last year's devastation associated with the Waldo Canyon fire. And it's very, very well done. And that's our reports for this evening, Mayor.
And I already have a copy, so I gave Carol mine.
I want more.
And it is very nice. And I will say that this key events poster I've already seen in several different spots, so I think it's serving a good purpose, and the more it gets out there, and maybe you can speak. We're doing some advertising at the Sky Sox games also.
We are. I don't know exactly the details. I know that it has. I don't know the details.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
DDA and Economic Development are doing that. I know it's like the seventh inning stretch. There's different things that happen. So we're promoting it in many different places.
And I just wanted to comment to that because I don't remember the details, but I saw that was happening. And I think those kinds of things where we're getting things about Woodland Park out in front of the public more is just really a good thing. And I appreciate that folks are Brian and others are working that.
And thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I did overlook, I did want Bill to mention very quickly a meeting that he and I had with a representative from CDOT as it relates to their emergency preparation for some flooding that will eventually occur in the pass.
Thank you. Didn't want you to forget. Yes, we've been in conversation and coordination with CDOT, and they have provided us a copy of their emergency response plan for the Highway 24 corridor. I can tell you that a lot of thought and preparation has gone in on CDOT's behalf to diligently make sure that corridor is open and safe to public traffic to the maximum extent possible. Their primary focus, should an event or something happen, is to provide emergency access for emergency response, then followed by reestablishing traffic and/or a detour should the conditions dictate that. They have a very specific monitoring plan. They're, like we are, watching the daily and hourly weather forecasts. There's several rain gauges been put into the burn area. CDOT has 4 of them specifically that they watch, but there's been over 20, I believe, different gauges have been set out into the watershed there. The flood warnings, the National Weather Service is issuing those. We are watching those, as can our citizens be aware of those. And then there's 8 critical structures that CDOT has designated for observation by the State Patrol should rain events happen. Those are being marked down there. And should a rain event happen, they will be actively being observed and conditions reported to CDOT operations. They've also taken the preparations to pre-position equipment such as bucket loaders, traffic control systems, excavating and haul assets are available to them. They've even done some dry runs on this rerouting of traffic during the recent rockfall events. They took that opportunity to rehearse some of the traffic control procedures they have should a flood event happen. So I'm proud to say that our partners at CDOT have actively been working for our citizen and the traveling public's best interest in keeping that corridor safe and open to the maximum extent possible. Any questions?
The status of Rampart Range Road, will that be accessible this summer?
Rampart Range Road will be open to Rampart Reservoir beginning on the 23rd.
From the north?
From Woodland Park to Rampart Reservoir. And that'll provide access to the reservoir itself and to the Shoebar Trail system. The rest of the road is remaining closed to public access until further notice.
I've had conversations, though, with the person that reports to Jerry Marr on how we mechanically go through the process of getting that gate open. So we have a process in place on communication. The Forest Service has several people stationed here in Woodland Park that we know well. So we have that ability to communicate with them also, should that need arise.
In case of an emergency.
Correct. Yes, not for recreation. I'm sorry, I should have prefaced that. One of the things I'd like to add to what Bill said about CDOT, they have plans in place for scraping a few rocks off with snow plows to filling a completely washed out Highway 24. And so they are committed to making sure that Highway 24 gets open. Even if it's one lane for one direction and then they have to switch direction, they will do their best to get part of the highway open so that we can move back and forth between Woodland Park and Colorado Springs. We felt very comfortable and confident that they've made great plans and they're ready to execute them when something happens. That's all we have, I think.
The correction on the dates, Friday the 24th is when the Forest Service hopes to have Rampart Range open.
To the reservoir.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. Meeting adjourned.